Welcome to Martensville, Saskatchewan. It's the Curling Stadium, Martensville International Draw number 6. Our feature match, Team Ashley Howard against the legendary Team Jennifer Jones. My name is Jason Chang. Alongside me, Matt Sussman. Matt, good evening.
Good evening, Jason.
Well, we've gotten through a day and a half of competition so far. Jennifer Jones, Ashley Howard. Ashley Howard off to an 0-2 start. Team Jennifer Jones, they are 1-0, playing their second match of the tournament. 12 teams on the ladies' side. They play a 5-game round robin. Top 6 teams make the playoffs, and Jen Jones, they won the draw to the button for last stone, so they do have last stone advantage here in the first end, playing the Blue Stones. Well, Matt, what do you think about this matchup? Team Jones with Mackenzie Zacharias at third, and that's really great junior Canadian and World Championship team from 2020 against Team Ashley Howard. Of course, lots of pedigree in that Howard name as well.
Yeah, a lot of familiar names, and I think a couple teams that I think a lot of people are very interested in seeing how they do, especially with Jennifer Jones, going into sort of a new phase of her career, taking on a young team, just seeing how that dynamic works. I think we're all very interested in how they will compete, tonight as well as the rest of the season.
Well, certainly that Jennifer Jones team that went to the last Olympics in Beijing, not the finish they wanted, but certainly a second Olympic experience for Jen Jones, Caitlin Laws, and the rest of that team. Of course, a new quadrennial, lots of teams changing it up. And of course, this was one of the big ones, right, with Jennifer Jones, now the elder statesman of curling in Canada, a legend of the game, taking on a young team and grooming them maybe for the next quadrennial.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. In we just watched, if you were watching the tennis, Serena Williams just played her last match, just right when this game started, and you think about the greatest of all time and people with long careers with lots of success late into their careers. You see a lot of parallels there, I think, between Jennifer Jones and Serena Williams, and it's just, it doesn't seem to matter that, all the rumors of retiring, they don't go away and they keep making shots, and it's really, really inspiring to see someone just continue to play well.
Absolutely. I wasn't watching the Serena Williams match on the air, but I was following the score line. It went to a third set. Serena, of course, announcing, well, she's not calling it a retirement, and certainly Jennifer Jones didn't call it a retirement after last quadrennial. I think there were a lot of questions about Jen Jones, maybe that she would step back from curling a little bit, or maybe even make it into the commentator booth. Certainly would have been a hot pickup for any of the sports networks, but here we are, Jen Jones still going strong. Ashley Howard, of course, another young team, 32 years old, daughter of Russ Howard. I believe Russ is in Martensville coaching this team, and the teams do have the option to call a timeout and bring in the coach, so we might see him come out if a timeout is called, but certainly on paper, you would think Jen Jones is the favorite in this match, Matt?
Yeah, I would assume so, just based on how they've played in this cash field so far. Based on the name recognition, Ashley Howard has a very good team, and they'll contend in their province. But the records don't always mean everything. A lot can happen. I think it'll be a closer than expected match. I'm excited to watch it.
Well, let's set things up a little bit here. We talked about the Jen Jones team. She is skipping Mackenzie Zacharias at third, Carly Burgess at second stones, Emily Zacharias at lead. Their alternate is Lauren Lenentine. And for Team Howard, it's Ashley Howard throwing the last stones. Carrie-Anne McTaggart at third. You'll recognize her as the former third for Casey Scheidegger. Sarah England at second, and Shelby Brandt throwing the lead stones. Well, a fairly open end so far. There are some rocks in play, but everything is wide open, Matt. There's a corner guard from Jen Jones. There's couple of rocks in the house, but Ashley Howard, opportunity to force Jen Jones into taking one here. She can keep her 2 red stones apart for the rest of the send.
Yeah, looks like it was a little bit of a break there. Looks like there was a little wick off a guard and they hit the other one, but you know, there's a little bit of a lucky break there. But yeah, I think if they can just, execute on some very simple shots, and it's always impossible to put your stones in perfect places to avoid the double. But so far there's still it's not an automatic double. I mean, there's still, like you said, there's still a corner guard. Good chance to try to force with some simple executed shots.
Yeah, Team Howard certainly want to roll a little bit away from the center line on that shot. They roll towards the center line. They do group them a little bit more now, and I think they're going to take this double on. If they catch it right, they might even get a little bit of upward spin and spin behind the corner guard. Maybe a little bit too thin for the spin, but easily makes the double.
Yeah, I think that's all they wanted to do there.
Yeah, with that corner guard in play, Team Howard wants to roll away from that corner. The only way that Team Howard could really give up a couple points here is if Jen Jones can tuck one behind. So a hidden roll away towards the board side of the rink.
Is that red stone in the back out? I can't tell, but I'm assuming it's out.
I think it is just out. This rock is over curling a little bit. It is going to roll towards the guard, right out the other side. There's a nice close look at that red stone. It is completely out, so thanks very much to the crew for that great camera work. Well, opportunity now, I think, Matt, for Jen's team to make that hidden roll behind the corner guard.
Yeah, you don't see this shot a lot in club play, but they'll take it on every day.
A fairly wide outturn, counterclockwise shot here. You can see Zacharias sweeping on the outside, trying to make it curl in. The rock was thrown a little wide. It rolls out. Now what do you do? If you want to try to force Jen Jones, you're going to go around the corner. If you're content to just blank this end out, you could peel the corner, but since it's an odd end, Matt, I suspect Howard will try to force. They want to force Jen Jones to one point in those odd ends and have hammers in the evens.
Yeah, I think first, obviously you want hammer in the evens, but, given it's a first end, you still want to, get a chance to make a shot, put some pressure on in the first end. Don't make anything too easy for Jen Jones. I mean, she's going to make her shots anyways. Try to make them as hard as possible.
Yeah, and playing the draw, it's also nice for the skipper to get a chance to make a low-pressure draw as well. Give themselves another feel of the ice. As it changes through practice and into the first end, typically the ice will continue to speed up through practice as they work down the pebble and into the first and second ends. So might be a hair on the heavy side, Matt.
Yeah, that's why you try it in the first end. It's almost not a free shot, but it's a low pressure shot.
And I think it went completely out. If it had hung on, you might have seen Jones play a hit. But I think it is completely out. Jen is going to try to take advantage by using that corner guard. Set up the skip's deuce, as we call it.
Yeah, right out of nowhere.
Really a great example of how you can be quite defensive in your play, but capitalize on opponent mistakes and still get 2 points. You don't always have to play super aggressive to get multiple scores. Jennifer Jones, her first in the first end. Trying to use her corner guard. Sweeper's working on it pretty hard, but line looks good, Matt.
Yeah, looks like it's coming right in there.
That looks almost perfectly buried. Good sweep from the team.
Mid-season form, and it's only September.
I'm sure they've been practicing leading into this tournament. Of course, Jen Jones, Olympic gold medalist, 6-time Scotties champion, 2-time world champion. Her resume is really unparalleled. As you said earlier, the analogy with Serena Williams, greatest of all time in tennis. Jen Jones voted the greatest all time in Canadian curling a couple of years back.
Yeah, it's just one of those shots you just never get tired of watching, I think. No matter who your allegiance is, if you have a favorite team, I think you can appreciate a shot made, and you can certainly appreciate someone's career and everything they've accomplished. Everyone respects that, no matter who you're rooting for.
Where do you go here, Matt? Do you have to draw around Jen's stone and sit in the back of the 4, maybe back of the 8 foot, behind those 2 blue stones? Because I don't think you can get shot rock easily by corner freezing to the blue stone.
Yeah, you could. You could try to. You could try to come around. There might even be a spot in, sort of like the back 4, back 8 area, biting a piece of the 8 foot. There is some space there. You can just get any coverage.
We know the ice does curl, at least 4 feet, depending on the team and player. You might get 5, even 5.5 if you've got a little bit less rotation. Wasn't sure if they were trying the corner freeze or not, but it chips off the blue stone. It is shot stone, but it is wide open. Opportunity for Team Jones to capitalize with an opening too.
Yeah, just got fooled on the line there, really.
Yeah, given the weight, I think they were trying to go around. Sit in the back of the rings, catch a piece of the 8. Jennifer Jones, final stone in the first end. Here in Martensville, opportunity to capitalize on some Team Howard mistakes. Open hit and stick for her 2 points. Looked really in control, makes the hit, makes the stick. And Team Jones opens with 2 in the first to take a 2-0 lead after 1.
For victims of domestic abuse, fleeing may mean leaving everything behind. There is hope. SaskTel provides brand new cell phones so that starting over is possible. Learn more at SaskTel.com/fresh start.
Imagine a place with endless possibilities. Imagine a place where people come together to build families, businesses, and communities. Imagine a place where small-town values and progressive qualities are in perfect harmony. Imagine a place rich with so much vitality. Imagine your future in Martensville.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Well, Team Jennifer Jones opened with 2 in the first end. Team Ashley Howard now with last stone advantage in the second. If you're just joining us, my name is Jason Chang. Matt Sussman with me will bring you the action from the ice to your device. And Jen Jones, they go into the rings, and they're exchanging hits right now. We do have 3 other games being played. There's a men's event, there's a women's event as well. Team Mike McEwen, the new look team Mike McEwen, playing against the Japanese team, skipped by Riku Yanagisawa. Steve Laycock playing against Kyler Kleibrink, and Team Eunji Kim from Korea against Brett Barber. We'll keep you up to date on those scores, but if you want to follow those streams as well, you can put them up on all your devices, have multiple screens. Just go to curlingzone.com, click the YouTube link, or search for Curling Zone right on YouTube. If you're joining us on CBC Gem, thanks for watching and tuning in as well. A fairly open end here in the second for Team Howard, but now they're going to put up the guard. With the 5 rock free guard zone, the Hammer team does have 2 chances to put up a free guard in the free guard zone. I call it the delayed guard, so not a bad tactic to use, especially if your opponent puts a good one into the top 4 area on their first. You can definitely hit that and then put up the guard.
Yeah, it's a lot better situation now that there's a counter in 8-foot versus the 4. It gives them a much better chance to get out of trouble if they need it.
Yeah, it's certainly a more safe way to put up the guard. Now this one's slipping just a little deep, but it does hang on in the free guard zone, so Jen's going to put up a center guard. We talked about 12 teams in the field. Right now, in the ladies' event, leading the standings, Eunji Kim, she is 2-0. As is Clancy Grandy from British Columbia. A few teams at 1-1, including Chelsea Carey, the team from Korea, Sun Yong Ha, as well as Daniela Jensch from Germany. Jen Jones only 1 game under her belt. She beat Lorraine Schneider in her opener, so she's 1-0. Along with Alina Petz, skipped by Silvana Terenzoni. And so far, looking for their first win. 3 teams, Lorraine Schneider, Ashley Howard on our featured sheet. Christy Watling, they're at 0-2. The other team winless, 0-1, is Brett Barber. So as I mentioned, 6 teams will make the playoffs, going to the quarterfinals. The 3, 4, 5, and 6 seeds will play off in the quarterfinals, and the top 2 seeds, 1 and 2, get a bye into the semifinals. Championship will be played on Monday, quarterfinals, semifinals, and the finals, both the men's and women's event, on our holiday, Labor Day Monday. Well, Matt, Jen's got 1 rock in the rings. The only thing that concerns her now is that corner guard that Team Howard has. Opportunity to maybe hit and roll this shooter into the rings to sit 2.
Yeah, that's kind of a pretty good chance here to try to force. Even if it's a blank, I don't think that would hurt their feelings too much. But yeah, getting 2 in would certainly change the dynamic of this end. And ooh, that changes it as well.
Yeah, misses everything. Opportunity now for Team Howard to go around their own corner guard. Sarah England throws the second stones for this team. She's the Pearl Sask Marketing and Events Coordinator, a 3-time Saskatchewan Junior Champion. And if you're talking about curling pedigree, the daughter of the late, great Sandra Schmerler. Just rubs the guard and rolls into the rings wide open. Expect Jennifer to hit this stone. She's motioning for a quiet hit and maybe a little bit of a roll behind that corner. Maybe not a dead roll, because if you roll dead behind that corner guard, Team Howard can play the nose run back and stay buried themselves. So you might want to actually show a piece on this roll.
Yeah, even nose isn't too bad. They're still pretty far apart. Don't want any roll inward though.
Sweeping for a little bit of the curl, gets a little flop. Mostly buried. Nice shot. I expected Team Howard looking at this run back. They hit it right, they can still stay buried. Give themselves an opportunity to score 2.
Yeah, it's still early in the end. It's probably the shot you do at this point. There's not a lot of great options. You could go for shot stone, but then the roll is really hard. I think you just kind of go with your gut at this point.
They have changed their mind. They're going to hit the open stone, it looks like, and try for the long roll.
Well, given that the 4-foot's open, I suppose they can try to be aggressive and go for, like I say, go for that roll.
Harder shot to make the roll perfect. The run back's definitely easier, but if you actually made the roll, then your shooter would be behind 2 rocks. If you just made the run back in return for Jen Jones is also fairly short. It'll be the same distance. There's only about 2 to 3 feet of separation between those rocks. So I think that's why they ended up going for the harder shot, because the outcome could have been much better.
Yeah.
However, that rock was thrown wide, it over-curled.
And it left it in a really bad spot.
The good news is that it did push it behind the tee line, and I think that's why Team Jones has elected not to guard it. They're just going to throw another one into the rings and really have the force to be on.
Yeah, and going back to, I think, why Ashley chose that shot, everything is pretty wide open. Her chances of scoring are still relatively high. I think she just saw a chance to try to get that 2 back with one really good shot.
So Team Jones sitting 3, as you said, Matt, things pretty wide open, so not a lot of risk at the moment for Team Howard, but I think they do have to clean up their deliveries a little bit, because they haven't been exactly precise. Last shot over curled in the first end. We saw a hit chip off a guard. They got a little bit lucky and still made the hit on the other rock, but those are those little mistakes that will catch up with you against a team like Jen Jones.
Right. And with it being, like I said, September of the first year of a quadrennial, there's a lot of time to work on those things, and that's sort of the intent of these competitions. And, they're not in too much trouble right now, but we'll see a hit made there.
Yeah, for sure, early in the season, and one of the reasons why teams really like the format here is they're guaranteed 5 games. No matter their record, they get to get on the ice 5 times, and that's really important in a early season setting. I know a lot of teams do like triple knockouts. It's particularly later in the season. Every game matters in a triple knockout, but you only get 3 games guaranteed. Here you can step on the ice, work out those kinks, new lineups. Both these teams, of course, new lineups, so definitely try to take advantage of that. In the world rankings, Team Jones ranked number 10. Of course, these points are mostly based off of the points that these players carried in from the last season. Now they're going to start earning points for their performances starting this season and add to those points. Team Ashley Howard, number 32 in the world. Those rankings are important in terms of getting into some of the big tournaments such as the Slams. Those invitationals do work off of the world rankings.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people put their teams together. That was some of the intent, is they wanted to, be in good standing and be in that tier, so to speak, that they're accustomed to. And and then it just comes down to actually playing the games. So we see a nice little hit there. Again, Team Howard's not in any trouble. It doesn't look good for them, but they're certainly scoring at least, and or at least likely to score, because they have that opportunity.
Ashley Howard, she's setting up for her first rock. You're right, still very open, still very likely to score for her, but she is going to try to make a hit and roll on top of that other blue stone. She's going to hit the rock on the right, I think, and roll a little bit to the left as you see it on your screen. Maybe have an outside chance to score 2 with her last 2 stones if she can get a miss out of Jennifer.
Yeah, that's the dream situation. I think, that getting the open hit and stick is probably priority 1. Let's see what happens.
I think the call is for the roll in front of the other blue. Looks close. Got halfway there. Could have rolled all the way behind the corner as well, but they made the priority 1 shot, which is hitting and sticking. That forces Jennifer to play a hit. Jennifer's also going to try to make the situation as difficult for Team Howard on her last as well. She'll probably try to roll it a little bit to the left as well, in front of her other stone. Maybe force Ashley into a double.
Yeah, she absolutely has a really good chance. If she can play a nice quiet hit, she has a chance to steal for out of nowhere. It's going to be a very difficult shot for Ashley to score if this is made perfectly.
Jen Jones up by 2. This is her final stone without last rock in the second end. See the sweeper trying to help it over. No problem making contact, just hits it away. She was hoping to stick around to make it a little bit harder for Ashley, but she got the main job done, and she's definitely got the force. So Team Howard, she'll have to just settle in, make this hidden stick for 1, and try to move on to the next end. Still got to concentrate on these shots, Matt. They aren't too difficult, but you still have to focus because if you roll out here, you are giving up the steal, so you don't want to go down 3-0 against Jen Jones.
Yep. They're taking that turn too. Since I'm a left-hander, I never use in and out, but they are taking the clockwise turn to get there, which is what she threw on her first, so that seems what she's most comfortable with. It naturally looks like you might do the counterclockwise, but yeah, just focus, make your shot, take your 1 point.
Final stone, Ashley Howard. They look fairly happy with the throw, and it is right on the nose. Team Howard, they get on the board with a single in the second. Team Jones leads it 2-1 after 2.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Imagine a place with endless possibilities. Imagine a place where people come together to build families, businesses, and communities. Imagine a place where small-town values and progressive qualities are in perfect harmony. Imagine a place rich with so much vitality. Imagine your future in Martensville.
Welcome back to Martensville's curling stadium, Martensville International. Third end here, Team Jones playing against Team Howard. Team Howard made the nose hit for 1 in the second end, but Team Jones leads 2-1, and they have last stone advantage. If you're just joining us, my name is Jason Chang, bringing you the action from the ice to your device. Matt Sussman along my side. Matt, so far, Team Jones looking very sharp through the first 2 ends.
Yep, they have to feel good. They got 2 points in the first after a fairly open end. Team Howard just missing a couple shots here and there. Again, I think it mostly attributed to just early in the season. You got to get that feel back. You know, summer's it's a long summer, and they settled down in the second. They played an okay end to score, so they just have to build on that. Now that you're on the scoreboard, a little bit of pressure's off you, and now they can try to return the favor and try to get a force in the third.
Yeah, and as for Team Jones, with the lead, they don't have to take too much risk. Obviously, they'd like to get another 2 to build on their lead. But so far, pretty textbook for Jen Jones. Taking 2 with hammer. That'll help her hammer efficiency stats. And then forcing Team Howard to 1. So that's going to help her force efficiency stats as well. And those are 2 important statistics the curling stats people like Jerry Gertz look at to see which teams are really playing well. There's a center guard. That's the Team Howard guard. Team Jones trying to come around it, but this one was thrown, I think, a little bit on the wide side. Never came back.
Yeah, that's wide open.
Behind the tee, so Ashley Howard searching for a bit of offense. They're just going to ignore that stone. The conservative play would be to hit it, but early in the end, being down by 1. They're going to take a little bit of risk here.
Yeah, even though it's only the third end, you don't want the game to get away from you too badly. Still a long game, but yeah, you do want to find your opportunities here. So this is a pretty veteran call here. Came up light though.
It just bites the top 12. Now, this is a pretty aggressive call from Jennifer Jones. You know, she's always been known to be a fairly aggressive player, so not necessarily surprised. You could hit that red stone and probably roll it into the rings, but she thinks she can position better by throwing a draw.
Well, the Howard Stones up front aren't really in ideal positions. I mean, they're somewhat usable, but yeah, I love that call, and I love that shot made. Now that it's made, I really like that call.
Well, even though Jen Jones and her new team, they're young up front. I mean, they're the 2020 Canadian and World Junior champions. They do have a lot of experience in juniors, obviously playing in those national championships, playing at the World and winning gold. It's the same 4 players, the third, second, lead, and alternate, that they played in for the last 3 or 4 seasons. And they do have 2 Scotties appearances as well in 2021 and 2022. Mackenzie Zacharias finishing at 3-5 in her first Scotties, her rookie Scotties with this team, and then 5-4 last year, finishing 7th. So certainly a team on the rise. And now augmenting that team with the strategist and the great shot maker in Jen Jones.
Yeah, you gotta think about that. That's just gotta be such a transformative experience to play with the person that you grew up watching and possibly even, you know, built your game around, to get to a point to where, you know, she knows your name, let alone compete against and then become your teammate. That is quite the journey for them. I am really excited for them. That was a very exciting announcement for that team. And it is identified by their team logo, which incorporates the J for Jones and the Z for Zacharias. They really thought that through, and I'm really excited for them.
Yeah, I noticed that about their logo as well. So whoever was doing their branding and marketing, great work from them. A little bit of a mistake there from Team Jones. They were trying to hit the red stone, but was a bit wide, clipped their own blue, and now not sure what happened with that one. It was not sure if it was just thrown very, very light, or did it grab something and ended up short, Matt?
Yeah, I'm not sure. They chose to play this aggressively, and so that is what they are now in. Nonetheless, decent situation for Team Jones here. That red is accessible, but it might be tough to completely get out of there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there is that blue stone in the back of the 12-foot that this might jam on.
I mean, it's also early in the season for us. We can't really see these angles very well either.
Soft weight, carving the rock over, pushing the red stone back a little bit. The red stone actually may be shot stone right now in the back of the 4-foot. I think it's almost fully in the 4. The blue stone is second shot, top of the 4, maybe half in the 4-foot.
Yeah, I think that's certainly red's closer from here.
Going the inside out hit. This one's over curling a lot. Probably helped it a little bit. Probably started it. And that's why it over curled. Misses everything. And now with the red stone being shot rock behind that blue stone in the top 4 and behind this center corner, Jen Jones is going to go up and rip this guard and maybe try to catch the other red stone in the top of the 12-foot that's nibbling the 12 along the way, get the double peel, open things up. She has 3 blue stones in the ring, so she doesn't need any more in the ring. She just needs to get that red one out.
Yeah, it's now's the time to bail. You don't have any good way to shot stone.
Makes contact with both of those, we'll call them guards. The reds all spill out. And she makes contact with their blue one as well in the house, so it leaves the red one very exposed now.
That's really good. That's a much better situation for them. The 2 blues being largely frozen, I think they'll both go pretty easily. Nonetheless, shot stone is exposed. That was the main goal.
I think you have to make a play on those blue stones that you can see on the side. Maybe try to hit one of them out softly and maybe sit in front of the one that you're hitting. Hit the blue, make the back blue go away and sit in front.
I think that might be the call, given the broom.
You could play the double, but then you're definitely probably losing the shooter, and then Jen Jones can hit and sit too. This late in the end, that could be the way Team Jones gets there too. So I think this is a good call to try to get the force. Make your opponent have some challenge getting your red stones out. And curling off the center line quite aggressively. Not sure if they're just not putting the broom in the right spot, or the players are just getting the rock started a little bit, helping that curl out.
Yeah, that's kind of been their story for this game, hasn't it? Just a lot of over curls. That can happen going inside out like that, but that has hurt them all game so far.
Yeah, and where these blue rocks roll to, it's really a good situation now for Team Jones.
It is. Now, the one thing I will say is interesting where that blue rock landed. I don't think they can remove the red stone. I don't think it leaves the rings. Can't quite tell from that angle. It might spill. I definitely clashing with that blue behind it.
Yeah, it might
But
jam on the
still
blue.
a play on it.
If you can get it to jiggle off the blue, you could still sit 3 by playing this hit. And then your 2 points is definitely set up if you've got first, second, and third shot after this situation. Just need to spill that blue, or sorry, spill that red out of the 8-foot, out of the white. If you can hold your shooter, the rock that you're going to hit, the blue stone, will stay right there. Well, let's see where that red one goes. Right into the back one. you called it, Matt, dead jam, but Team Jones does sit 2, and there's no easy double for Team Howard here. They've also got to be a bit careful if they play the hit on the blue to not jam it onto their own red now.
Yeah, that was exactly what she wanted to do. I think she knew that was happening. That was a shot to sit 2, and now the red is, it's not really much of a threat. It is preventing 3 from counting. Nonetheless, this is going to be a tough one here. I'm not, like you said, going at shot stone is extremely precarious. A bad shot like that, and you could be giving up 4.
I think that's why they're having a look at just making the double on the 2 blues and conceding 2 points perhaps to Team Jones. Because I don't really see a double on the shot rock blue stone and one of the other blues. Certainly the angle's not great for that.
Yeah, it's super thin. I think you could just hit the hit second shot and then sit right there.
Yep, if you sit right there, you've taken the 3 out of play for sure.
Yeah, it's not a shot you love to have to do, but at this point, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, forced into the situation, you never like conceding 2 points, but you've got to deal with the hand that you're dealt once you get to your last stone. Ashley Howard removes the blue, sits right there. I think Team Jones will just either draw for their 2 or play a nose hit for their 2.
Yep, her choice.
With the Broomore it is. It could be either, actually.
It
could be a soft weight hit, like a pack waiter, or
you start betting money in the lounge on what it is. I think the fact that it's on the tee line is indicative of a draw.
Typically, yes, I will agree with you.
I've been wrong before, though.
That's why I never take those bets, Matt. I always lose. Buying rounds for everyone. Final stone, Team Jones here in the third end, already up by 1. Opportunity for a free draw, we think, for 2 points. Sweepers pick up on it right away. This young team, really powerful sweeping. Going pretty much end to end here. Right into the top of the button. Really nice draw, really good sweeping. It is 2 more for Team Jones, and they're up 4-1 after 3 ends of play.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Imagine a place with endless possibilities. Imagine a place where people come together to build families, businesses, and communities. Imagine a place where small-town values and progressive qualities are in perfect harmony. Imagine a place rich with so much vitality. Imagine your future in Martensville.
Fourth end underway. Team Jones with a center guard. Expect Team Howard will play a corner guard here, down by 3. so far Team Jones has put most of the pressure on Team Howard. Team Howard also making a couple of mistakes, rocks over curling. And of course, the veteran taking advantage of that, twice scoring 2 with hammer. I think
Absolutely.
Russ would even say that's textbook.
Yeah, that's mid-season form for them so far. Getting 2 points with hammer twice, and then a force in the second end. So, Team Howard, yeah, like you said, it's basically just come down to some missed shots, a lot of over curls on the on sort of the inside out hits. They got to figure that out really quickly. Probably this ends if they want to stay in this by scoring 2 of their own.
Having a quick look over at some of the other sheets. On the men's side of the draw, Mike McEwen, his new team now, he's playing out of Ontario with Ryan Fry, Jonathan Buke, Brent Lang. They're up 2-0 over Riku Yanagisawa from Japan. Steve Laycock, Kyler Clybrink scoring 1, stealing 1, and they're up 2-0 through 2 ends of play. We talked about Jen Jones being one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time in Canadian curling. Matt, you're based in the U.S. John Schuster, probably one of the greatest of all time from the U.S. Maybe some people thought he would retire, but it looks like he's continuing on as well for another chance at the Olympics.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been, if I recall, that's 5 straight Olympics with John Schuster as the team. 4 of them as the skip. So getting back for a 6th Olympics would be quite remarkable. They still have the team to do it. They've brought everybody back and added Colin Huffman as their 5th. So they're well equipped to do it. Couple other teams, up and coming young teams, namely Corey Dropkin's team.
The Young Bucks
is also the Young Bucks. Yeah, it's a great brand. They also tinkered with their lineup a little bit, so they're still young and they were 1 game away from the Olympics themselves. So the next 4 years, it's certainly going to be one of those 2 teams. So. I honestly couldn't tell you who it's going to be, but just like last time, it's going to be really fun to watch.
Well, it is remarkable, John Schuster having played in so many Olympic Games, and certainly it wasn't easy getting there any of those times. There certainly there are a lot of good teams out in the U.S., but he seems to just peak at that right time, at the right part of the quadrennial, focusing, his training and his preparation, his team's training preparation for that moment, and obviously that culminated into a gold medal.
Yeah, that's kind of his personality. Is just he will make the shots when he needs to. He's never, ran through the competition. He likes, I don't know if he likes it, but certainly his back gets up to the wall, and then his team goes on a roll, and it's always a delight to watch.
Well, Team Howard, they're looking for some offense here, but they need to clean up a little bit of that mess out in front. Team Jones, 2 rocks behind the center guard. They were trying to drive this one in and maybe drive it a little bit off nose so they can get the shooter rolling to one side or the other. Makes the guard go away, makes one of the ones in the house go away, but the center guard's still there. There's still the Team Jones rock, that shot stone.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Get 2 blues out of there, and you're still in trouble. So they've still got a lot of digging to do to get in a position where they can try to score a couple. They've got one in the back that might come into play, but there's there's still a lot of opportunities here for Team Jones to put another one under cover.
Nice thing for Team Howard right now is they do have a biter in the back of the 12, that red stone. So Team Jones does have to be a little bit cautious. If things don't look good with their rock placement, they might end up making a hit on that back stone to take a 2 out of play.
Yeah,
well, opportunity now, I think, to make the run back and stick it.
Yeah, Ashley was looking at the way the Blues are lined. It might hit the biter in the back, but I think this is the call nonetheless.
Doesn't quite curl up, but this rock rolls over to protect that red in the back. You've got 2 corner guards now. So something to work with, but you still got to move some of those blue rocks in the rings. Those 2 Jen Jones stones in a really good spot right now, blocking off access to the button. Certainly there's no clockwise draw, an in turn for the righty, a out turn for a lefty like you, Matt.
Yeah, that side's completely shut off. Yeah, it's getting pretty crowded up there. So I think the angles favor Team Jones right now highly, I would say.
You might have thought Team Jones could have played a little more defensively with a 3-point lead, but they still went up and put up the center guard on their first one and then went around it when Team Howard played the corner. The other play would have been maybe putting 2 right into the rings, but not really Jen's style. She likes the offense whether she's up or down. And she plays it very well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's fine with Team Howard playing this shot, playing this run back. I still think it might run into that biter. It's close, but again, there's really not a lot of other opportunities here. You have to do this to open it up a little bit. Otherwise, Jennifer is just going to toss another one in there.
Yeah, you really want to move a couple stones here. Try to get your shooter out of the way as well. So you want to maybe hit it just off nose, a little off nose on the high side is probably better. High side being the side where her broom is, I think. Might be the better angle.
Yeah, that might get a triple.
Carrie Ann McTaggart. First of the 3rd stones for Team Howard. You get right on the nose. You called it. The red one does jam, or the red one does get taken out in the back as the blue one jams on it. 3 Jones stones now in the rings, but they're a little bit further away from the forefoot. But it is getting even more congested because the way they're spread out, the draw on the counterclockwise side, the out turn for the righty, is getting blocked off too.
Yeah, I think it's a shot it was an extremely tempting shot, and I don't know if you don't throw that, I don't know what you throw. So, the fact that it was almost nosed, I think didn't help the fact that it's still very cluttered up there. But yeah, the pressure is completely off for Team Jones. They can make this shot as hard as they want for the other team. Yeah, I guess now Jennifer can just take some time and just do some coaching.
No time clocks in play in this tournament, so they can take their time. And you're right, Carrie Ann really didn't have a lot of options there on her last rock for Team Howard. Really just had to try to run it in and hope she gets a couple rocks out of there. And and spills the other rocks in a way such that it improves the situation. I think it improved it a little bit in some respects, but also made it worse in some other ways, right? The cutting off the right-hand side draw is what was bad. Not sure exactly what Team Jones has decided to do here. They had a lot of options.
Yeah, I think I saw one of the options being sort of a raise on that top blue in the 12-foot. That, I don't know if that's the call, but based on the broom, that could be the call.
Yeah, we'll see very shortly. Well, I think that was the call, and they move it up a little bit.
That's really
Maybe
nice.
wanted to move it up a hair more, but that's still a pretty good shot. Team of Howard's gonna have to deal with this situation on the right-hand side. They've got to open up one of the sides for at least to have one path into the button.
Yeah, there's a chance here to maybe double them, at least, run one blue into the other and dispose of it that way. Possibly kick one of the blue that you hit over a little bit, but yeah, this is a desperation shot. This is hanging too.
Do move the rocks around. Team Jones still in a very good position.
Yeah, very good positioning. They're sitting three. The good news for Team Howard, both of the first two blue stones are completely wide open. She can't guard both. So I think that is just going to force her to try to go behind that red center guard and maybe touch the 4-foot.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And you can end up a bit short as well. If you only end up in the top 12 or the top 8, you cut off the draw path for the other team as well. That same draw path. So, but you don't want to be as heavy here. You don't want to be behind the tee line. Then Team Howard's going to follow you in.
Working hard on this one.
Yeah, Jen Jones knew her tolerance certainly wasn't heavy. Making use of the sweepers. All that off-ice training over the summer paying off. Really, physical fitness, a really big part of top curling teams now. And even though there is an off-season for many of these teams, especially in Canada, they are working very hard on their physical fitness during that off-season. Matt, what's the call here? Do you play the run back on the red guard, or can you play the hidden roll off of the blue stone on the right-hand side? Roll into the middle?
I think that second one is the call here. Now, as we've watched tonight, when they've done these types of shots, they have sort of gotten away from them and over curled here. So I think they want to be really careful where they put the broom. I think if nothing else, they want to make one of these shots. And I think, yeah, if you can get a roll, you can roll to a pretty large space. And if you can almost roll into that sort of gap between the two blues, I think you've got a really good chance at scoring.
Yeah, you've mentioned they've played these inside-out hits a few times and they've over-curled. This one also over-curling. It's a little bit on the outside of nose. I didn't see them take any different ice than the other time, so maybe it is just the release. Maybe they're just not letting it go cleanly on those inside-out shots, because I don't think they took any more ice for that shot than the ones before.
No, pretty control weight, and yeah, just another one, just right on the nose.
Yeah, either that or they're not believing the curl is a bit bigger from the inside out. In any case, it is wide open. Jen Jones without last stone with her final stone of the fourth end. She leads 4-1. Trying the shot that Team Howard was trying to make, I think. Play the hit and roll into the center. She's going to catch it a bit thin. I think she'll roll right out. So there is an opportunity for Team Howard to score. That counterclockwise draw to the forefoot is fairly open now.
Yeah, that's really all they have. And again, you want to get your point. You want to stay in this game. You can certainly coming down from 2 is difficult, especially without Hammer. But you know, like I always say, at the halfway point, if they were able to score 2 more than you, you can score 2 more than them in the second half.
And based on how this end was shaping up, I think Ashley's fairly happy that she's got an open shot for the score here. It was looking very congested at one point.
Absolutely. It's like, where are you going to score? I think she had a chance on her first. Yeah, now in this case, just make sure you take enough ice. Trust your sweepers.
Final stone, fourth end. Team Howard facing 3. Needs to bite the 4 to pick up the single. Try to narrow this deficit.
Oh.
Well, that was a big mistake. And it is a steal of 3 for Team Jones. And they're going to be up by a commanding 7-1 lead halfway through this match.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? You can get a grant to help. We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. It's easy. SaskTel has already given away tens of thousands of dollars. There have been lots of great ideas, including kids giving cookies to others, a group set up to welcome newcomers to their school, random acts of kindness, and so much more. The ideas and opportunities are endless. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Welcome back. We're at the fifth end of the Curling Stadium Martensville International. Team Howard playing against Team Jennifer Jones. If you're just joining us, Team Jones with a big steal of 3 in the fourth end after Ashley Howard comes up well short in her final draw. Matt Sussman alongside me. I'm Jason Chang. Well, Matt, pretty much a dominating performance so far from this Jennifer Jones team.
They have. It looks like they've been playing for 10 years together. It's only been a weekend so far. No, they are dialed in. They seem very comfortable in all of their new roles. I know that can be very difficult to do after having played for many years and having some really nice success, but they've got a really good skip behind them.
Yeah, when you got Jen Jones skipping you, she's won everything and been to every major competition, been to the Olympics, played in many finals at the Scotties, at the World Championships. You couldn't ask for a better teacher and mentor.
You can't, and I'm really interested to see how this team works with 5. And you've seen that Jennifer Jones had that when they brought in Lisa Weigel. They didn't call her the 5th. They basically had 2 leads, but really they had 5 players. And with 4 people on the ice, they want to make sure everybody gets out there and gets in games. I mean, that 5th is not just someone that's charting rocks. That is a person that can make the shots when called upon. And I think there's been a lot of talk about teams using that 5th to their maximal potential. And I think this is going to be a really good, interesting case study for how that can succeed.
Yeah, and certainly it wasn't common to have a regular 5-person team a few years ago, but certainly in the last couple years, it's become more common. I think with the curling schedule being so busy, many of these teams are playing 8, 10, 12 tournaments leading into their provincial championships. Of course, trying to race to get points and get into the slams where some of the bigger money is, but also for that preparation. It's hard to have all 4 players available at every tournament, right? And if you can have 5 players, that can really help in terms of being able to enter all those tournaments, but also making sure that the players are not overworked and overtired week in and week out if they're playing every single game.
Yeah, absolutely. If not just for the number of weekends, the number of games, and the number of rocks, because that will wear on you once the championship season comes around. You do want to stay a little bit fresh getting to that point.
The other advantage is having a regular 5-person team. Once you get into your playdowns or your provincial championships, and for the Canadian teams to the Scotties or the Brier, and hopefully onto the World Championships, you are taking 5 people to those competitions. If you got your 5-man team or 5-woman team, you know exactly how the chemistry is going to work. You know exactly when, the different situations you might switch a player in during that tournament, and the familiarity is all there. It just gives you that extra advantage, I think. And if it's a long week like the Scotties and the Brier, where the teams are playing so many games, 2 game days, an evening game followed by a morning game, that can be a huge advantage if you have that familiarity with the 5-person team.
And not just the exhaustion, but we saw it in the Brier. If you lose a player and you only have 4 players that you're comfortable with, and you're forced to play with 3, well, Well, in that case, they did win the Brier with 3, which was an amazing thing to watch. But nonetheless, the ideal situation is that you are playing with 4. And so, when everything is on the line and, one little injury or, in this case, illness prevents you from doing that, you really want to make sure you can not leave anything to chance. And you have that full team, that full roster, and it gives you the best chance to win.
Of course, you're speaking about Brad Guju and their team. Mark Nichols coming down with illness in the playoff round, and the front end carrying on with Brad. Mark Nichols watching the Brier on TV in his hotel room. That was an amazing victory for that team. Of course, changes on that team as well, with Brett Gallant moving out to Alberta and with Brendan Botcher.
Yeah, I'm wondering if these cash. Sorry, I was just wondering, with all these cash deals, all these new teams, and I'm not sure if everybody remembers who's on what team. I'm sure they'll get.
It's hard to keep track of, for sure. It's hard to keep track of.
Absolutely, I know Team Cooey and Team Botcher, I think, being the two examples. They basically, Team Cooey is now more Botcher than Team Botcher, and Team Botcher is more Cooey than Team Cooey.
You're right there. Well, Team Howard down by 6 halfway through this game. They've got to get some rocks in play. There certainly are some rocks in play. There's a few Howard guards out in front. Team Jones, they're sitting shot rock and second shot rock in the 4-foot. Looks like they're trying to freeze onto the top red stone.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that what the intended call was. Probably just sort of junk it up some more, get the angles in their favor. But nonetheless, they're still sitting 2, which are completely buried, completely inaccessible. So they're going to have to run in some reds.
You talked about the lineup changes being confusing. The other thing that's been confusing me is some of the provinces that the different players are playing out of. Obviously, in Canada, many people know there's some rules in terms of residency, and you can have an import, and you have a birthright rule. But now you've got Mike McEwen, who's been playing out of Manitoba all his life, now playing out of Ontario. Got other examples of players playing out of different provinces. That's also been pretty hard to keep track of for me.
And it's becoming more common, especially in the last, 5 or 10 years. Well, that cleared some stuff up there.
Yeah, it's also pushed a red stone behind kind of double corners on the left-hand side. You've also got a red stone sitting in front of a blue Jones stone in the middle of the ring, so pretty good result there.
Yeah, now they're going to have to deal with it somehow. Maybe just kind of do a soft hit and just change positions and have the blue sit on top of the red.
Yeah, speaking of Mike McEwen, they are on the ice tonight as well. They're leading Riku Yanagasawa from Japan 2-1 after 4 ends of play. Mike McEwen has last rock in the 5th. Meanwhile, Kyler Kleibrink, they've stolen 2 in the 4th end. They're leading Steve Laycock 3-2. Steve Laycock with the hammer in the 5th.
Yeah, for anyone who is accustomed to watching a lot of team sports, in the last really 25, 30 years, seeing players change teams and thus change jerseys is pretty commonplace. It's very unlikely to see a professional athlete stick with one team their entire career. If it is, it's pretty special. And I guess we're just going to start seeing that too at the Scotties and the Brier. They are going to switch up colors and represent different provinces. And the allegiances may change, and thus you may have your allegiances change for a specific province. So if you're a Mike McEwen fan and you live in Manitoba, you might have to root for him. It's entirely up to you. It's a free country.
Yeah, it will be strange to see Mike McEwen in something other than that yellow color with the bison at the Brier if he makes it there this year with his new team. Well, Team Howard now having a bit of a discussion of what to do. They've got a couple of stones positioned quite nicely in the rings, one behind the double corners. That one's probably never disappearing, so the question is, how do you maximize the potential out of this situation? We talked about with Hammer, you want to get 2 with Hammer, but given the score line, I think they really want to try to get 3 out of this situation.
Yeah, that's really their end game here is a crooked number, so they say, something more than 1, and it's looking pretty nice. They've got the shot stone, they've got some stuff on the sides. And yeah, they have a good chance here. They just got to be very careful here, very precise with these shots.
And for Team Jones, she won't take too much risk in this situation either. She'd be pretty happy just giving Team Howard a 2 if it was a low risk way of giving you 2, right? She's not going to flirt with giving you 3.
Not at all, and especially not with that one over curling a lot. That's a bad break.
Well, Jen Jones setting up for her first stone. I think she was motioning for a hit and roll. Get rid of the red stone. Roll the shooter behind those double corner reds. Try to sit 3, I think. If you can sit 3 after this situation, then you're pretty unlikely to give up 3 in this end.
Yes, just sit as many as you can. That is always a terrific curling strategy, and it works every time.
Worked really well in our earlier draw, the 5 p.m. Saskatchewan time draw between Yannick Schwaller and John Epping. 2-2 tie heading into the 5th end. Team Schwaller sat as many rocks as they could with Hammer, and then made a nice double on the last stone to score 7 against John Epping. So,
see, that's just perfect curling strategy. That you're just trying to get better. You just score all the points, and you'll always win. Just score more points than the other team. I think that's how it works.
I was on Twitter today, and I did see an 8-ender being advertised, maybe in a rec league somewhere in the U.S. I think it was an arena club, I believe. Maybe the Wine Country.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where it was. I just popped up in between these 2 broadcasts on my Twitter feed.
I saw that as well. I believe that's a Bonspiel and at an arena club. And yeah, congratulations to them. That's a very rare thing to see. 8-enders are obviously the product of one team making all their shots and the other team missing all their shots. But nonetheless, that is sort of golden achievements in a curling career is if you can get them all in there and have them all score.
Have you ever had one, Matt?
I haven't. Our club had one this past year. That was the third one that our club has had in its 54-year history. So that just sort of tells you how rare those things get. But I've never had an 8.
Team Howard looking for the hit here. Try to roll behind their corner. Nicely done. Now, I'm not sure their shot stone, though. May have rolled a little bit too far. That blue stone that Jen's looking at right there may still be shot rock, and that one is pretty well protected, too. So,
yeah, the bad news is you're not shot. But the good news is you did have a pretty good throw. And, with Ashley struggling in this game and the weekend not over, you kind of want to end this game with some decent execution. So while it's not shot, it could potentially come into play. So, but that's just sort of indicative of they've just been sort of on that wrong side of the inch and haven't been as crisp as the other team.
yeah, you're right, and they still have a couple games to go. Looks like their Team Howard's on their way to a defeat here and dropping to 0-3, and that would put them out of playoff contention, but certainly want to end this game off with some made shots, at least build towards the next 2 games. And it is early in the season, as you mentioned, so all of these games you are really building up towards a provincial championships to try to make it to the Scotties. That's what Canadian teams are striving towards every single year, is to peak at that time. Really nice corner phrase from Jennifer Jones. I think that has snuffed out any chance for a 2 here.
Yeah, and you got to, just like I said before, the first shot, you had a good shot there. Now make another good one. And, even getting to the 4-foot's still a little difficult, but I think there is a path there. And you could chip off that blue and roll in. So there's a lot of ways to get in there. But again, I think at this point, primary focus is just make a good shot, make a good team shot, and, take that positivity and just move forward with it.
Looks like they're taking pretty much the same draw path as Jennifer did. Can't really get to the button, so you're trying to get to the 4-foot. You're going to probably use Jen Stone as maybe even a little bit of backing if they need it. Probably chip off of it and roll in. Well, final stone for Ashley Howard.
Needs to curl.
Yeah, they think they're going to clip that guard. It might have actually been a little bit too strong, and that's why it hung out there. And it's a steal of 2 more, we believe. After 5, it's 9-1, Team Jones leading Team Howard.
Saskatchewan, SaskTel, because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit SaskTel.com/sponsorships.
Imagine a place with endless possibilities. Imagine a place where people come together to build families, businesses, and communities. Imagine a place where small-town values and progressive qualities are in perfect harmony. Imagine a place rich with so much vitality. Imagine your future in Martensville.
Well, we're back for the sixth end of this match. Team Jones in complete control, playing against Team Howard 9-1. Back-to-back steals of 3 and then 2 more. Team Howard carrying on here, maybe thinking they'll get a little bit more practice in, throw those rocks back towards the glass end. Of course, they are the local team here as well, or one of the local teams from Regina, so certainly they've probably got some fans up in the stands as well who'd like to see them keep playing one more end. Just quick update. The other ladies game out there, Eunji Kim from Korea leading Brett Barber from Saskatchewan 3-1. They're in the 5th end. Eunji Kim at the top of the standings right now, 2-0. Looks like they could be on their way to 3-0. Meanwhile, Jen Jones, she's only had one match so far, win over Lorraine Schneider. This is her 2nd game. Looks like she's going to be still undefeated after today. And sit at 2-0. If you're just joining us, my name is Jason Chang, Matt Sussman, with me on the call. Matt, a very impressive performance, as we've been talking about throughout this game for Team Jones.
Yeah, we shouldn't be surprised either. We've seen her win so often, and with this being sort of the new phase of her career, sort of the mentor, but also still the skip and the shot maker, she's clearly dialed in. She's having a really good weekend, and she's got a couple big games still ahead later this weekend. Just looking at it here, she's going to have games against Team Jensch of Germany, and then that's their one game on Saturday, and then 2 games on Sunday, with one of them against Team Tirinzoni.
Yeah, a couple of the top-ranked teams in this tournament, top-ranked teams in the world. Number 7 in the world, Team Tirinzoni, with Elena Petz throwing the 4 stones. Team Jensch, number 11 in the world. They've been on the rise, this German team, over the last few seasons. A threat every time they're out on the ice now. You talked about the schedule going forward. Team Howard, they've still got Lorraine Schneider and Daniela Jensch to play. They've already got 2 games in the bag. This is their 3rd match. We're to bring you 4 draws a day through the preliminary round, so Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m., 12:30, 5 p.m., and 8:30 p.m. Saskatchewan time. If you're out in the Eastern time zone, add a couple of hours. Same thing on Sunday. And then Championship Monday, we've got quarterfinals at 9 a.m., semifinals 12:30, and the Championship finals at 4. You find all the schedules, scores, and statistics on curlingzone.com, and of course, all the links to the YouTube feeds. If you're joining us on CBC, thanks very much for tuning in as well. Well, Matt, when you're down by 9-1, what are you trying to accomplish here? Just practicing some shots in this last end for Team Howard? Obviously, for Team Jones, it's still important to keep your focus, right? I think these are moments where it's a good training and practice ground in terms of how to stay focused during a game, because it's easy to lose interest when you're up by 8 points.
really is for both teams, honestly. Just when the outcome is almost decided, you can lose focus. You can start thinking about the next game, as we've already did. But yeah, there are still shots to be had, and you want to make them, as they just did right there. Team Howard, they've played better over the game. It doesn't look like it, but that last shot has been missed. So I feel like they've gotten better every end, and they just want to see some results. They would like to probably see another point or two, shake hands, go in, get some good rest, come back out tomorrow strong.
I understand that Russ Howard, their coach, is on site, so they'll probably have a debrief as well with him after this match. Talk about what went wrong and what adjustments they need to make. Certainly one thing we picked up on is the few inside-out shots that overcurled. There are at least 3 shots that were played inside-out, clockwise rotation that overcurled on that team. In terms of keeping focus, you mentioned it's tough. One of the things I learned from a golf coach was, if you're a recreational golfer and you want to get better at putting, really focus on those short 2, 3, 4 footers, the ones that you normally take a gimme on. Actually putt those in, because if you can make those, your putting will get much better for the longer putts too, because those short ones are the ones that actually are greater pressure. You think you're going to make them, but if you don't and take a gimme, you're never getting any better. Same type of situation here. You want to make your hits, still throw them clean. If you're trying to make it a hit and roll, stay focused, still try to make those hit and rolls, even when the game looks like the conclusion is foregone.
And that would be good advice, because a lot of the shots when they got behind, Team Howard did, were some sort of fairly open shots. And, whether it was, on the release or where the broom was, they need to figure that out. But again, those simple shots are really what makes it. It's not always about making those crazy good hitting, doubles, hit and rolls. Those are great to watch. They're great to throw. They're fun when you make them, but it does, like you said, comes down to those really simple shots that you do all the time.
I think it was Wayne Madaw who may have said that if you can, as a skip or as any player, make every open hit and draw to the 4-foot, you're going to win a lot of games. And those are very simple shots, but it's wise words of wisdom. A number of rocks in play, a couple of corner guards, blue rocks hanging around the edge of the 8-foot. Actually a pretty nice setup for Team Howard to score multiples here. Obviously, they wish they had scored a few more points early in this game to make this a little bit more relevant, but I'm sure they'd like to put a couple more points on the board. Finish off strong here tonight. And as you said, get some rest and regroup for tomorrow.
Yeah, there's some good cleanup work there, with 2 reds kind of right next to each other, side by side, with one of them sort of half frozen. Just get rid of as many that you can, even if it's your own color. You always start to see that sometimes when you're up and you put a couple rocks in the house. You're like, okay, we got one, we got two. Then you get a third one in, and you're like, oh, that's too many. Now it's hurting us, and then you get rid of that. So, um, yeah, it's just kind of, and again, goes back to just make the simple shot. Don't worry about making everything disappear. Just hit your spot, hit the broom, and everything will be okay.
Third stone thrower, Carrie-Ann McTaggart for Team Howard. Being asked to draw around the corner guard here. Sweeper's working hard, but they don't quite get it into the rings. Matt, you said you curl out of Ohio, was it?
Yeah, curl out of Ohio. So I curl out of a club called Bowling Green, which is in Northwest Ohio. It's actually about an hour and change away from the Canadian border in Windsor. So we do get a chance to go up there and play, and they come down here. So we're pretty close to a lot of other clubs as well.
And when does your season start? Do you have year-round curling, or do you have the off-season as well?
We have an off season, but we decided to capitalize on the Olympic interest, and we put our ice in early. So our first Bonspiel starts next weekend, and we're very excited about that.
Well, certainly the U.S. is one of the big growth markets for curling. We're seeing clubs popping up, new arena clubs, some new dedicated facilities being built in different parts of the U.S. So that's really exciting to see, because obviously the U.S. is a big market, not only for corporate dollars, but also from a population perspective.
Yeah, and specifically in our region, we had a new facility out in Cleveland, the Mayfield Curling Club, which hosted a U.S. Olympic trials qualifying event. Last year opened, and then we're getting a new facility in Indianapolis. The Circle City Curling Club is working on renovating their space for their own place. They're moving out of their arena club, and also a club in Traverse City, Michigan, is they just broke ground on that as well. So we're going to have two new fun places to throw stones in sort of the Great Lakes region of the U.S. And there's new ones out in California, new ones in all sorts of places where you don't normally have traditional curling culture. So it's a whole lot more places to go.
Well, it's all very exciting, and it's great to see that your club and others around the country are capitalizing on the Olympic Games. Obviously, John Schuster's gold medal really accelerated that, but it's really started before that, I think. Even that bronze medal, I think, that Pete Fenson won, if I'm not mistaken, started accelerating the growth of curling. We are at skip stones here. Ashley Howard with her first. They have last rock still. Going around that corner guard.
Woo! Just around.
It is shot stone, I think. It's not that even in the 8 foot, I think, but it is shot stone. The other rocks are all just hanging around the 12 foot. Maybe there's that blue rock is shot stone in the back of the 8. Might be nibbling more of the 8 foot.
Yeah, I think that's shot stone. I think that's just a little bit too heavy, but they had to go to get it by. Again, just those little differences, and that's That's been the story here. As lopsided as it is, it's just those little differences.
Looks like Team Jones is going to play a raise on one of their blue stones, probably the blue stone that they just threw, the one to the right of the center line. From Jen Jones's angle, from the thrower's angle, the one to the right of the center line. Try to tap it into the forefoot or into the button. Well, this could be the last stone of the night for Jennifer Jones. A very impressive performance so far. This team with Mackenzie Zacharias, Carly Burgess, Emily Zacharias, alternate Lauren Lenentine. Trying to sweep it for some curl. They do raise it on a bit of an angle.
Wow.
It is shot stone.
Wow. You're talking about just not losing focus. My goodness. She made that shot like she had to make it.
Yeah, and you see where the shooter wound up. There is no draw on that counterclockwise side either. There is a very small port. I'm not sure I'd be taking that on. There's really no easy draw on the clockwise side either because of that corner guard it's in the way. Have to get pretty close to that corner guard and it might overcurl and crash on the blue stone that is in the top 12. Just one of those nights for Team Howard. Had a couple of opportunities to score one on relatively simple shots, a couple of draws. Didn't have the right weight on those, and then the other situations were quite difficult, just like this one.
Yeah, this is probably the hardest shot of the night, of all things. So it looks like, I think they're, based on where the broom is, they are going to just try that draw into the widest port there. And I think they're just hoping they hit that perfect sweet spot T-line weight, doesn't overcurl, it's as close to the forefoot as possible. I think it's a good shot to try and execute from a team perspective. But I think that's really all they have.
Yeah, not easy, but I think this is probably the easiest of the options that they've got. Sixth end, final stone for Ashley Howard. It's been a struggle for this team, but trying to end off on a high note. An inside-out draw across the center line. Tried to catch as much of the 8-foot as they can.
It's a really good effort.
Yeah, weight was pretty good, but it was just running out of real estate as you moved away from the center. I'm going to imagine handshakes are coming up. Yep, they are. It is one more for Team Jones. A big win. A dominant performance, Matt. Jen Jones with the Mackenzie Zacharias team.
Yeah, that was a clinic for sure, and they made their shots. That's an example of one team struggling just a little bit, and one team that's just dialed in and looking like a really strong team winning if they make the playoffs.
Well, Team Jones goes to 2-0. Ashley Howard drops to 0-3. We do have 3 other matches on the ice. Team McEwen against Team Yanagasawa. Team Laycock playing against Team Clyburn. Team Yim against Team Barber. Find those feeds on the Curling Zone YouTube channel. And remember, we're back tomorrow morning, Saturday, 9 a.m. Saskatchewan time, 11 Eastern, for draw number 7. On behalf of Matt Sussman and the entire Curling Stadium crew, thanks for joining us. My name is Jason Cheng. See you again tomorrow as we continue our coverage here in Martensville.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province, we're here with you and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Imagine a place with endless possibilities. Imagine a place where people come together to build families, businesses, and communities. Imagine a place where small-town values and progressive qualities are in perfect harmony. Imagine a place rich with so much vitality. Imagine your future in Martensville.